Good morning, Bix Weir. Roadrunner.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. All right, let's talk oil. I posted a private road video last night. My take on the oil markets. It's also on Patreon Plus. Go check it out, and if you're a member, let's talk how big this problem is. Yes, the oil markets are broken. They were always broken, though. The oil market is a derivative market just like every other commodity. Every other commodity, gold, silver, they don't trade the real thing. They trade in many multiples of the underlying asset. That comes to bite you in the ass when you have a delivery issue, especially with oil. It's all these weekend warrior cowboys, bankster manipulators who are large participants in the oil market, don't understand anything about the underlying commodity, but like to play the game because it's huge volatility, and they think they can make $1 million. Hey, if I buy oil at zero, there's no way to lose. Yes, there is. Taking delivery of oil. There's no capacity left. There's no capacity. You're stuck with the oil, and you have nothing to do except default. So that's why yesterday everybody had to sell. Everybody had to sell their long contracts, and it kept selling. Oil got to minus $40. So you have oil, you have an oil futures contract. Theoretically, you're supposed to have oil. You don't. You have a derivative. And nobody's buying it because no one can put it anywhere. So you're going to have to keep it. And it's a required delivery for the WTI at the end of the month. Voila, you're stuck with oil taking delivery this month. And most of these traders had no idea what to do, so they dumped it yesterday. That's why the minus $40. Now let's talk about how big this derivative problem is, because we're talking about trillions of dollars of losses. Not, what was the London whale for JP Morgan was a $5 billion hit. This is trillions of dollars of losses on the derivative side. There are walking zombies out there right now. And it's going to get really ugly to see who was on the other side. I guarantee you that JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon were on the side that was making money as it went down. That's the game they play, especially around zero. Because everyone's like, oh my God, there's no downside. That's when Jamie Dimon and his market riggers come in and smash it down to $40. But it was required. They had to settle these contracts because they couldn't take delivery. And nothing has changed. Keep that in mind. They're still pumping out more oil than the system needs. And probably doing it on purpose to destroy the system. So if you're in the oil and gas investor side, get the hell out. You have no idea where they're going to put the price next. I just want to show you how big the oil market is. This is as of 2016, so it's much bigger than this. I would say it's a $2 trillion market. But that's the underlying commodity. That's just the underlying commodity. That's crazy. $2 trillion per day. Per day. Which puts us at, if you look at all the commodities, a great infographic right here, all the commodities together don't even come close to gold, silver, copper, all that stuff don't even come close. Don't even come close to oil. Let's see. So yeah, the oil, it's $2 trillion per year. Per year, people spend $2 trillion on oil. Now, let's talk derivatives. The COMEX isn't necessarily a true oil exchange. It's a derivative exchange, meaning they trade in multiples, many multiples, 100 times, as Jeffrey Christian said, 100 times the underlying asset. That's where we got into big problems. You might be saying, well, how can people buy oil when they have no idea where to put it or anything like that? It's a derivative contract, 100 times the underlying, so the losses are increased 100 times. Yesterday, look at the 52-week range. The low point was minus $40. If you want to get rid of your oil long contract on the COMEX, it costs you $40 for someone to take it off your hands. So all the shorts are like, this is great. I'm making money hand over fist. And then they closed out. For the most part, let's take a look at volumes. At the close, now remember, yesterday at close of business, it was 13,000 contracts. Each contract is 1,000 barrels of oil. So that would be 13 million barrels of oil. So at the end of today, there will be a delivery of, depending how far it comes down, probably around that. Those people who stayed in the contract probably were looking to take delivery anyway and have storage for it. So 13 million barrels. To put that in context, the U.S. goes through 20 million barrels per day. So that's easily digestible. Probably 13 million barrels. But what did everybody do? They rolled it over into the next contract. So now, that was the May contract. Now we have the June contract. Delivery date is May 19th. May 19th. So on May 19th, look at this contract. Overall, open interest right here. 581,000 contracts. Times that by 1,000. 581 million contracts. Million barrels. Remember, we only use 20 million barrels per day in the U.S. And this is the U.S. contract for WTI deliverable in West Texas. We only use 20 million per day, but current open interest for next month, which has to be settled on the 19th of May, is 581 million barrels. Now, this is a derivative market. Look at the volumes. This is insane. Look at yesterday's volume. 3 plus over 2,600,000. That'd be 2,700,000 contracts, which is 2.7 billion barrels theoretically were traded yesterday. It's insane. The whole world is insane. You know how much damage that caused to the counterparties? And here's the funny thing. Those winners on that side of the contract, like JP Morgan, they have to get paid out by these people who lost more than they ever invested. Yes, you can lose more than you invest in the COMEX market, or you just default. And that's what I think is going to happen. We're going to see massive defaults very soon. And I wrote that in the timeline. For private members, yes, I have a timeline going out to July. And I'm going to up that for the rest of the year. So far, it's pretty damn good about the lockdown and all that. Keep an eye on silver this month, by the way. Keep an eye on silver. So, yes, we have massive destruction in the derivative market. Doesn't matter if it's oil or gold or silver. Massive destruction. Every time there's a winner, there's a loser. And we're talking trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars in derivatives. Traded hands. And there's a lot of losers out there. Pretty soon you're going to start to see bodies float to the surface. Bodies of companies that were huge 2 days ago and now have disappeared and gone. I expect the COMEX to shut down any day now. Maybe next month, because the monster. Now everybody's going to try to get out of this. All the smart traders who made money last time are going to go long, and then they're going to short all of a sudden before the delivery date. But everybody's going to be doing the same thing, and nobody's going to be buying because there's no capacity. And just to prove that there's no capacity, Trump said it's a great time to buy oil. Trump looks to fill the strategic oil petroleum reserve. That's great. Yeah. Trump has the U.S., the strategic petroleum reserve is the largest in the world. And that petroleum reserve, everybody's like, oh yeah, my God, Trump's going to buy oil. This is getting more idiots into the market for the June contract. More idiots. Why? Because look how much Trump is looking to buy. With the perfect storm of global demand destruction and the world running out of places to store tens of millions of barrels of crude raining down on oil markets, U.S. President Donald Trump is looking at the glass half full, doubling down on his plan to fill up the country's strategic petroleum reserve. Monday afternoon, the price of U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate fell by over 300%, settling at $37.63. And as unprecedented crash sent shockwaves through the market, U.S. President Donald Trump suggested the U.S. should add roughly, now this is the largest storage area in the world, U.S. should add roughly 75 million barrels to oil to the country's strategic petroleum reserve, though he gave no details on exactly how the administration would purchase the oil without approval from Congress. Trump explained in the COVID-19 press briefing, based on record low prices of oil, it is at a level that is very interesting to a lot of people. We're filling up our national petroleum reserves, strategic reserves, and we are looking to put as much as 75 million barrels into the reserve themselves. That would top it out. Bingo. Trump made the classic mistake of telling the world how much he can buy. 75 million barrels. And remember where we are. 75 million barrels. Say Trump buys it all. Fills it all up. 75 million barrels. And the June oil open interest is 5.8 billion barrels. Okay, where's the rest going? The largest storage area in the world had 75 million barrels of capacity left. Trump said, I'm going to fill it up. But that doesn't even, that doesn't cover anything. That's nothing compared to what's traded on the COMEX. You would be insane to be long oil. But the greedy banksters are all saying, oh my God, I can buy oil for free. This is crazy. These numbers are crazy. And they're getting in. Remember, at some point, there's going to be no buyer for your contract as we inch up to the D-Day, which is May 19th. The delivery date, just like yesterday. We're going to see minus 100, 200, 500, minus $1,000 oil. And every one of those trades has a counterparty losing billions and billions and overall trillions and trillions of dollars. The game is broken. The derivative market, the COMEX, the CRIMEX as we like to call it, is broken. And this is just one market, but it happens to be the largest market. There are bodies floating around behind the scenes like you wouldn't believe as far as companies that have been destroyed. Some of the biggest names in the world. And we're going to find out who it is very, very soon. So yes, Trump trying to save the market by pumping it up with his mouth. And then giving away the truth is they can only handle 75 million more barrels. That's what? That's a little over 3 days of consumption in the U.S. Where are we going to put the 5.8 billion of open interest that's on the COMEX? They have to sell it all before the 19th. It's going to get crazy next month. I don't even think we'll get to the point, truthfully. And more on Bloomberg. Trump pledges funds for oil industry to avert deep job losses. He wants to make funds available. He doesn't have the money. President Donald Trump said his administration, well, he doesn't need money, right? He doesn't need money. They're going to pay him to take it. The people who are paying these huge amounts to get out of their contracts, they don't have the money anymore. There's bodies lying everywhere. We will never let the great U.S. oil industry down, Trump said. I have instructed the Secretary of Energy and Treasury to formulate a plan which will make funds available so that these important companies and jobs will be secured long into the future. The funds are available. You can take unlimited positions. Steve Mnuchin knows that well. With the Exchange Stabilization Fund, just go in the basement and click, 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 click. You don't need money. All you need is credit. It's the truth, the faith and credit of the United States. Derivative contracts are not counted as real purchases. Oil and gas industry shed 51,000 drilling and refining jobs. Basically, he said, hey, Steve Mnuchin, get with the oil companies and see what kind of rigging job you can do. There you go. What kind of rigging? Let's see how much power these guys really have with their mouse. Here's news that I love. Bitcoin. Americans purchased $1,200 worth of Bitcoin while 7 banks fumble with the stimulus payment. These stimulus payments of $1,200, really cool coincidence right here. Let me show you. It was tweeted out by Brian Armstrong at Coinbase guy. It says, look how many people bought Bitcoin with their, where is it? I think I lost the graph. Where'd it go? Anyway, there's a graph showing how many Coinbase people. It was right here. I had it and it ran away. How many Coinbase people bought $1,200 worth of Bitcoin when the checks got sent out? And you see the spike like this. And all of a sudden it just spikes straight up. It doesn't say how many people. It just says the percentage of people making purchases of $1,200. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so next. I knew I had it. So there it is. Check it out. Look at the amount of people buying $1,200 worth of Bitcoin. It's a huge spike because there's the normal, and all of a sudden, $1,200 spike as soon as people get their check. I love that. That's hysterical. It doesn't say how much was spent, but clearly, when people got their check, some of them went into Bitcoin, went into Coinbase and bought $1,200 worth of Bitcoin. Hysterical. Here's something that's not hysterical. America on the brink. Shocking images show Pennsylvania militia rolling up to reopen America rally. You're going to see a lot more of this. There's so much pressure on these governments, on the governors, to open their states. Trump was brilliant in shifting the responsibility to the governors. It should have been on the governors in the first place. So keep an eye on this. But look at these pictures. This is your lovely. What city is this? Pennsylvania State Capitol building. The militia's coming up with AR-15s. Look at this. This is how it's all going to fall apart. And it probably should. We need to fight back against the government. They don't have the right to do this. They don't have the right to tell you, oh, for your own protection, we're going to have you destroy your family, your business, and your home. It's for your own protection. Fuck you, government. We can figure out what to do with our own lives. We're better at it than you are. And that's what these guys are saying. You're going to see a lot more of this unless they start listening to the people. Listening to the people. Hey, if you want to go outside and die, that's up to you. It should be your decision, not your government's. We are falling down the road to socialism, and these people are saying, no, it ain't going to happen. I think a lot of people, the longer these governors wait to open up their state, the more people are going to come out and say, who are you people to make this decision for us? If someone wants to die by going outside, that should be their right and ability to die. Will they die? Probably not. Probably not. Unless you have pre-existing conditions, you might be pretty good. You probably will be pretty good. If you have pre-existing conditions, don't go outside. But I have to make a living. Well, then go outside and risk it. Vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C, chaga, zinc, colloidal silver. I put them all at the bottom of my videos now. Links to get yours. You have to fortify your body. I've been saying it all along. We cannot live in fear. But this thing is a killer, absolutely. But you can fortify your body to take the blow because it's going to be with us for years. You're going to have to go outside. You're going to get it. They're just saying now, probably many people already have gotten it and have gotten over it. But this is what's going to happen if these politicians keep us locked up. You're going to see a lot more of this. This is in Cliff's data. Watch for it. And watch when Trump and the Congress try to bail out the banks again and the oil companies and the car companies. They're bailing out everything with your money. This is not going to sit well. And finally, I want to talk about this guy very briefly. Lowell Wiltbank. Lowell Wiltbank worked with Alan Greenspan in the 1960s to invent the computer programs to rig the markets. Lowell Wiltbank was in charge of Alan Greenspan's hardware at the offices of Townsend Greenspan. Back in the 1960s, Alan Greenspan was a financial guru and a computer expert in the 1960s. He literally invented our electronic financial system, along with other people. He blamed himself for Y2K because his early punch cards didn't factor in 4 digits instead of 2. Only had 2 instead of 4. And the guy behind the scenes, literally, Greenspan had an office in New York City, really plush office, and a little door off to the side. The other side of that door was hardware, computer hardware, and Lowell Wiltbank was the guy running the punch cards and running the computer hardware for Alan Greenspan. And Alan Greenspan goes to his mentor, a guy named Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed, says, hey, I got this new thing called a computer program. We can create literally a money control system out of computer blips. That's what they did. They created the software and hardware to control the system. Every single system today runs off the original programs that Alan Greenspan wrote, especially the market rigging programs, which were taken over by the Fed. A guy named Stephen DeVoe ran them out of the Bank of Boston. And then it moved to the New York banksters, the New York Fed, in the basement of the U.S. Treasury, which is a computer trading floor. That's how they control the system. That's how they control inflation. That's how they control your life. And very soon that will break down. But Lowell Bank was the little guy behind the scenes. You got Alan Greenspan was the guy behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, pulling all the levers. You got Lowell Bank, a guy out there, the computer hardware guy. Yes, he was a big fan of Ayn Rand. Anyway, I just thought, is he of consequence? He probably was back in the day. He was just a kid, by the way. They call him the copy boy because all the secretaries were pissed that the copy boy at Greenspan's company got paid more than the secretaries. But he wasn't necessarily a copy boy. He was working on computers. Back then, they didn't even know the difference between a computer and making copies. It was in the same vein. But Lowell Bank was in that little office right next to Alan Greenspan running the computer programs that ultimately created our electronic financial system and will ultimately destroy the current global financial system. It's a click of a mouse for guys like Mnuchin or Jerome Powell. A click of a mouse destroys the entire unbacked fiat monetary system. It's a very scary place to be. So there's your history lesson for today. Look up Lowell Bank, and you can see down here at the bottom, he kind of was pissed off at what he did. He worked at Townsend Greenspan from 1968 to 1985, 17 years. He would track, model, and forecast activity and developments in the industrial sector of the American economy. Now listen to his second line. My career coincided with the beginning of the relative shrinkage of this sector as its product was increasingly produced elsewhere. That was the shift of manufacturing from the United States to China. He's bitter. He's bitter because he knows they rigged the market. And moving the industrial capacity of a nation out of that nation is the worst thing you can do, and he knew it. That little line cracks me up every time. My career coincided with the beginning of relative shrinkage in this sector. He's just angry at Greenspan. Why? Because Greenspan rigged the market so that the production could be shifted elsewhere. And now we are effed. Another thing I blame Greenspan. People say, oh, why do you like Greenspan? I don't like Greenspan. I don't like rigging of the markets. I just know who did it. Alan Greenspan, the first computer programmer of the financial system. And nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about his computer programming prowess. He blows them all away. He began in the 1960s. Very important to know history. If you want to know where we ended up and how we're going to change things, you got to know how it all started. How did the rigging of this financial system that needs every string pulled at every time via computer, how did it happen? The introduction of computer programs into our financial system to create our electronic monetary system and the computer rigging model. Alan Greenspan. You want to know more, go to roadtoroad.com. Also, for all you private road members, click on the timeline and look at April. I wrote this in February. Look at March and April and look how close I was on things happening. And then look at April, May, June, July. I am going to tweak it a little bit. There are some things that have been thrown in the mix. Nobody has a plan that is going to stay the way it is. God knows. Greenspan's plan was to destroy the system in 1981. It didn't work. And as soon as he got into the Fed, what happened? The crash of 87. Computer-generated crash of 87. Every crash since then it's just never been big enough. This is the everything bubble that's popping. This time it will be bigger than big enough. Right now, trillions are being lost in the oil derivative market. Trillions. To help destroy the market. So, get your money out of the bank, put it in silver and cryptos. Good cryptos. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and you can go for some lottery tickets. Veritasium. Theta, I really love Theta. I started mining Theta Cash again. You can mine Theta Cash. Go to the, I'll put up a video for the private road and Patreon channel. Join the Patreon. I'll put up a video about mining Theta. It's real easy, right on your desktop. And you can make videos that are uncensorable and run it off the Theta node. Really cool. That might be our future. Get yourself some Theta too. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.